So what I wanted to do was go across European football and try and find the next bunch of U23 midfielders that really could surprise Sorare managers across the world in terms of who's going to be the most valuable, the most potent in scoring those points and shooting us up the leaderboard. I started off with a list of 10 and then kind of marinated over the weekend with it, if you like, and I think we might be a little bit closer to 15 now as we come into record. I dropped a poll on Twitter, by the way, thanks to everyone who participated in it, and you guys decided that the running order of this list is going to start from the cheapest and work its way up to the most expensive. Now for this list, I tried to touch as many European countries as I possibly could. Portugal was very difficult because of the amount of outgoing transfers happening there at the moment. I just didn't feel confident at calling that next crop that's coming through. So besides Portugal, we kind of touch everywhere else. In the first place, it's the only candidate that I've got in this video from Scotland, but the cheapest card is the man himself, Ross Tierney. Now, Ross Tierney is an under-23 midfielder until 2025. He predominantly plays as a forward, as a striker. He only signed for Motherwell in January after a period with, I think it was Bohemians. And, they had, some Irish teams over the last 4 or 5 years had some credible Europa League and Europa Conference League kind of group stage outings. And Ross Tierney was a part of one of those successful adventures, getting a couple of goals and stuff like that as well. So he's already proved that he can definitely play at the level required to be a good SPFL player, and he did only just touch in January, and when you scroll through his scores, it's not too surprising that he didn't do that great. Of course, prior to Motherwell, the only scoreable games that we have access to is the European ones with Bohemians, but he transfers in January, he's in and out, he's on the bench, he's starting, he's not getting many minutes. So there's not any real credible sample size here, but I would expect him to play more next year. And the sort of price point he's at now, the floor is 0.105 Ethereum and his auctions go for about 0.05. So very, very cheap. And because he does play up front, he is very decisive capable, he's very assist capable, as well as racking up those points for attempted assists and all that good stuff, So even though he's the cheapest, he's maybe actually one of the strongest candidates in this list. What I think is the second cheapest, and when I say think, the only reason I'm not totally sure is it depends on how you want to judge it, if it is from the floor price or the 3 day to week averages or whatever. Currently, circa 0.2 Ethereum. Emrehan Gedikli might not be a name you're too familiar with, but this guy came through at Leverkusen. Leverkusen I hold in such a high regard when it comes to youth development and talent development period, and it's not often they let guys like this leave the club. With him moving to Trabzonspor, I don't know how many minutes this guy's really going to get because they're a really big team, but with them being in Champions League this year, it's very feasible that they're going to rotate throughout their very long Turkish season. This guy is seen as an incredible coup by the club to sign him and bring him in from Leverkusen. He's I don't know if he's German or Turkish, but you can also tell by his name he has Turkish heritage, and at Trabzonspor he should feel at home, and he should start to get those minutes and start to really break in. And guys that do that in the Turkish division do not cost 0.2 Ethereum. They generally cost a good bit more than that. So depending on how many minutes this guy can get, I definitely think he's up and coming and exciting enough and got the pedigree that this could be a little sleeper one that people will come out of nowhere. He's one of these DNP guys that people will see there was no previous data for on Sorare data. Maybe he's one of those guys. The next one is Alexander Prass. Now, Alexander Prass typically operates on the left side of the pitch, left mid, left wing back, that kind of idea, as a centre mid. Now, because he's playing out there, being a midfielder, he doesn't quite get the possession loss penalty as a defender card would, so he's got a little bit of an advantage there. As you can see, his scores today are not amazing, okay? But generally speaking, the guy's just not had a longer, he's had a little stretch in the team here, where he's had the scores that have built up as positive L15s and whatever. But prior to that, lots of sub appearances in and out, injuries, a few other bits and pieces. I think he's definitely got the potential to make his L15 higher and definitely his L40 higher, no problem at all. And with him being under 23 until 2025, this is definitely a guy at 0.15 on his 3 day average, or 0.3ish if you're going to go on to the secondary market. I think could be great bang for buck with the midweek utility that comes with Sturm Graz also. This is one of the ones I'm the most excited about on this list. Nicholas Raskin is one that is a name that I'm only familiar with because of Sorare. He's made a really strong name for himself. He's a really strong player, as you can see. He's not spectacular, but he is a central defensive ball playing midfielder, and these scores are very good for a player in that position. As you'll know, at Standard Liège, they've just appointed Ronny Deila as manager, coming in from New York City after winning MLS Cup with them, and I feel that Raskin is going to be one of the main beneficiaries of the improved managerial position. Liège, as far as from when I've been on Sorare, they've not been In my eyes, Liège should be a top 4, top 5 team in Belgium, almost hands down on pedigree and prestige and where they've been over the last 20 years. And over the last 2 years, they've not been anywhere near that. This guy's got the ability to be a key player for them if they were a top 4 or 5 team, which I think they are maybe moving towards. And at 0.2, he's under 23 until 2025. I think he's potentially one of the key players on this list who's set to go. I was not going to include Marcos Antonio in this because he did feature in another video recently, he didn't play the latest pre-season friendly. It was Cataldi, Luis Alberto and Milinkovic-Savic, which gives more credence, I think, to the philosophy that if Luis Alberto in particular, because he's on the left of that midfield, is to move on, that Marcos Antonio will come in as the starter. I feel if Lazio make an outward, if they sell somebody, SMS or Alberto, the time will come to see what Antonio is all about. In that same kind of vein of managerial changes and whatever, Eunice Musa for me under Rino Gattuso could be an absolute monster. Now I've seen Eunice Musa live. I went to see Valencia last year. I watched a lot of Valencia last year period. He has just really struggled for consistency and fitness and in minutes, but he's so dynamic, he's so robust, he goes all over the place. Right mid, right back, centre mid, he can do centre defensive mid, number 10. He can play a lot of positions very effectively. I would imagine in a Gattuso's sort of team, with a big man up top, me and Sam Ty were talking about Valencia recently, I feel that if he starts next to, Sorare and Guillamon, then he will be the water carrier. He'll be the one that's going all over the pitch. Guillamon is quite a stationary character, and Sorare, of course, is the kind of linchpin that goes around knitting the passes and whatever. Eunice Musa is the bombastic guy that runs around midfield, breaking up play, winning the ball, turning it over, playing it to somebody like Sorare, and then taking himself on a run and stretching the play and making some space. So I feel like players like that in U23, ones that are very dynamic, have high upside potential. He is also very effective when he plays national team football for America. At 0.3 Ethereum or so, give or take, I think he is really credible. He's also under 23 until 2027, so I think he's a great candidate to break out this year. Edouard Micho had no intention of having anywhere near this list. It does feel that with the Aaron Moy signing, he's probably not going to Celtic, but Seville are rumoured to be heavily interested, as well as a few other clubs from around Europe, and this guy is desperate to play first team football above all else, so I think wherever he goes, he starts. And you're kind of paying for a premium player at his current price point, with his future as of yet unknown. But I think if this guy goes into a Challenger Euro team especially, and as a number 1 starter as a player, he could be one of the best by a long. His reputation and his potential level is so high that if he became an overnight starter, it would be a huge card to have. Yusufana is a kind of lazy pick from me, if I'm honest, right? He's only U23 for 1 more year, but with Tchouameni leaving and just the whole dynamic at Monaco, this guy actually, his scores don't really do him justice, which when you look at how good they are, you might think I'm crazy, but he only actually got some good scores under the current manager towards the back end of the year, playing in centre defensive midfield, when they allowed Tchouameni to maybe go a wee bit more kind of box to box, end to end. But prior to that, he's not really been a mainstay in the team, and again, when he has, his scores have been prominent and quite good. He does only have a year of U23 left, unfortunately, so there's not too much meat on the bones in that sense. But again, similar to Tchouameni and a few other guys, if you believe this guy is elite quality, then having 1 year of U23 is a nice asterisk on this card if you're maybe thinking about getting a guy of this profile anyway, who's not U23, if that makes sense. Because his auctions on the week average is 0.34, is probably a wee bit too heavy for me, but if he was to increase his L15 up to like 57 or something, then I think that would balance out quite well. The floor price of 3/4 a coin butt is just mental. Jesper Lindstrom, now I hate to say it, this guy looks like a dweeb, right? But he's really an exciting football player to watch. He's one of these guys that just doesn't care, like he'll run into you, he'll kick you, he doesn't care about, not that he's disrespectful or whatever, but he is there to play his own game, if that makes sense. He does shoot sometimes when he should pass as a kind of result of that, but he's one of these guys that's very direct, really fun to watch and really engage in. He's got good talent, but he's not one of these guys that's going to skin 20 people or score worldies. He can score from the range, don't get me wrong, but I think this guy, under 23 until 2024, 0.36ish on auction, I think it's a great price for him. Frankfurt Champions League football is one of the key players in the team, and because Champions League is much different to Europa League, even in the group stages, I don't suspect that he will be, because Frankfurt don't have any qualifiers also, I don't suspect Frankfurt are going to be too mad for rotating in this first period of the season in the lead up to the World Cup. I think they'll have a really good pre-season. They'll pick their best teams for Champions League home games, of course, maybe the odd away game if they get a massive team in the group's dead, maybe they rotate and play second stringers. But by and large, between now and the break, I don't think this guy's going to miss many minutes unless it's through injury or suspension, which is also a very valuable asset in U23 midfield this year. Similar to Raskin, Kakare is one that is a name that I'm mainly familiar with just down to the platform and all the kind of prominent card holders that this guy has. It's circa half an Ethereum, you kind of know what you're getting. Peter Bosz, I can't believe he's still at Lyon, but he's still there and he's been allowed to play boss ball even more. Kakare, with Guimarães leaving, Paqueta's probably going to leave. Ouar sounds like he's going to be leaving as well. He's going to be more and more the main man in midfield, and his scores of, if you look at the beginning of this chart towards the end, he's getting better and better as time goes on. He's very highly rated. He's also under 23 until 2024. He's got a little bit of an injury at the moment, which is fine. So maybe on auction you may be able to get this guy on a discount as a result. But again, I do not expect to see this guy missing many, if any, minutes for Lyon next year. And because he is that linchpin type player, even having a guy that's solid enough to bring you between 51 and 58, let's say, just on AA without decisives, can be a guy that can just get you by. And in the odd game where he does get his assist or his goal line clearance or whatever it might be, automatically then, because the AA is so high, he pays off in a big way, brings in 70s and 80s, that kind of thing. Even though they're infrequent, they do happen. And I only expect the frequency of them to increase next season versus decrease, because he will probably have more of a say on Lyon's victories, their goals that they make, without these other players being in the team anymore. He really needs to step up and become the man in midfield. Adil Ayush is heavily linked to be going to Feyenoord. I'm not sure if it's confirmed, but again, very similar to what we're saying about Micho. This guy just needs to be playing minutes, and as much as, he did appear quite a lot for Saint Etienne, it's not what this guy wanted when he left PSG for minutes. He wanted to be a number one starter somewhere. He's going to look at guys like Micho and Kunku Diaby, the guys that went out and got first team minutes, and these guys want that for themselves. So I expect him to be transferring somewhere. It's kind of built into his price, unfortunately, but when you look at how good a transfer Gurna got leaving Saint Etienne, this guy equally, again, I would only expect to see him go to a Feyenoord type. He's only going to go to a big challenger team, in my opinion. It's kind of built in with his floor price at half a coin at the moment, but like I say, if you can get him on auction, I think around 3.34 or so is a really good price for somebody with that potential upside, if that's what you're in the market for. Szymanski is all but confirmed, or I think he is confirmed now, to be at Feyenoord. His price has jumped up as a result, and I think it's pretty safe to see why. This guy will do very well in Holland. I can't imagine why he won't. So highly rated, very clever, very clean player. And if you can do this in Russia, you can do this in Holland, in my opinion. The floor is not terribly appealing. Maybe he could be over an ETH. I think if he could keep his L40 at 63, he'll definitely be over an ETH. But at the moment, there's still some unknowns with Feyenoord, of course. Sinistera and Malacia have left, but maybe Kochu will leave, maybe he'll stay. I think there's a strong intimation that Kochu is more likely to stay, which is a good thing. Do they sign Ayuishe? Do they bring in anyone else? Maybe there's still a wee bit more discovery to go on with Feyenoord before we'll know that Szymanski will definitely be this kind of power player. He is only U23 for the remainder of this year, so that premium on him isn't quite as appealing as some of the other guys. Mr. No Knees, Nicolo Zaniolo. Now, if he is going to play and it feels like he's fit and available and he's got the bit between his teeth, this guy is like decisive capable, especially when it comes to a midfielder as well, because Mourinho does not mind playing him as like a striker next to Abraham. That's kind of false 2, false 3 kind of situation, right attacking midfielder it's listed as here. And if he keeps his knees from exploding, he's a 2 ETH card, no problem at all. His injury record is significant, his injury record is noteworthy, and I do not recommend you jump in head over heels for Zaniolo at this price point. But, and it's a big but, should his knees not explode, he doubles trebles in price for me, no problem at all. The last guy on the list, the most expensive, is Javy Simons. Again, another PSG academy graduate who's been cast out to go and get first team football. He's at PSV, and I think that just works. I don't see any reason why this guy doesn't score amazing. Midfielders that can win duels through speed and through dribbling skills score very, very well in the Matrix, especially then when they can dribble in or sprinkle in decisive actions on top of it. I do think his price is quite fair for where he's at now, and again, similar to Zaniolo and Szymanski, once we see the reality of the scores dripping in, these prices run away very quickly for the prestige, the very tippy top of elite youth football, they're always mega expensive, and as soon as they show the signs of that, subsequently their price reacts accordingly. I hope you've enjoyed this one, guys. I lost track if it's a top 10, a top 15 or whatever. Let me know if there's anyone you would add into this as well in the comment section down below. Let me know your thoughts on the players featured in the video, what your thoughts on are them. Do you have additional information you'd like to add into the conversation? Make sure to check out the comment section for these types of comments as well. The comment section is always loaded with valuable intel on all the players that we discuss. I hope you've enjoyed this one, guys. Do not forget to like, subscribe and share and retweet and all that good stuff. Stay out of trouble, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye. Let's get into all the giveaway stuff before I let you go. I'm still doing monthly giveaways and I'm making it easier to enter. If you want to be entered to win this month's prize or any future giveaways here at the channel, all the same rules will always apply. Hit the subscribe button, you need to be a subscriber to enter, then leave a comment down below. Each month, a random comment from a random video will be selected as the winner, so the more videos you leave a comment on, the better the chance you've got of winning any of my giveaways. All the winners are announced at the end of videos the same way as we're doing here. The best way to keep up with the content has always been to hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on. As always, guys, if you've enjoyed the video today, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. On screen now is some other stuff that I've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. Stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.